Jai Gurudev. In this video, I am going to tell you all about forts in India and about the one of the best fort in India, Chitradurga Fort in Karnataka. In this video, I am going to tell you all about the nature of forts in India and the Chitradurga Fort in Karnataka, which is one of the famous fort in India. In India, around there are thousands and thousands of big and small forts. Big and strong forts are there in India, and many forts are in on the banks of the rivers and on middle of the hills and mountains and on the base of one side on the on the base of one side of hills and hills range and middle of hills on four sides. Like that, there are many different types of forts are in India. Mainly, these forts took help of hills, mountains, and rivers, and high side of lands and forests. And they build walls on between gaps of hills. They in the between hills they build walls, and they make this fort area protected like that. These walls of these forts are very strong. For some forts, half man size height and half full man size long sideways. High level strength rocks are used in these many forts, and thickness varies from small one birwa size width to half man size width to full man size width to 2 man height width in these walls. There are this width varies for different walls and different types of constructions in the forts. This width varies according to the type of construction in the fort. The wall height varies from 1 man height to 2 man height to 2 floors height to 4 floors height on different forts. And no power and current is there in India before 1900 in India and in the world. In the most of the world, there is no current before 1900 in India and in the most of the world. There are thousands of fort tunnels in these forts in India, built underground from fort to other safe places in time of enemy attacks. There are 10,000s of kilometers of tunnels in India under these forts. If some enemy attacks suddenly, and when they lack the manpower to counter these attacks from enemy, they will go through underground tunnels from the forts to other side of the rivers or other side of the hills or other side of the forts. These tunnels are tens of kilometers of long, and more than 10,000s of kilometers of tunnels are there in India. Mainly, these tunnels were used for different purposes. During enemy attacks, the people in the fort will go through these tunnels to the safe places of other lands. There is a one fort called Manjirabad Star Fort on hill surrounding forest. This fort is a star-shaped fort, and rainwater harvesting plus shaped wall is in the middle of this fort. One can watch all these forts in Google Maps and know many interesting things and facts about these forts built by Hindus in India. Many of the Muslims were built mosques inside forts and converted these and converted many Hindu temples into mosques by destroying upper portion of the temples and building minars and other Islamic architecture on the upper side of the temples and converted them into mosques and masjids like that in more than 10 thousands of forts and temples in India like that. Coming to the Chitradurga fort which is in Karnataka, it is one of the famous fort in India. Around big two-man height size beautiful round rocks were used in this fort. In the it has a connection to Mahabharata, where Hidimba, the brother of Hidimbi, and Bhima fight by throwing big rocks on each other in these hills. Because of that, and Hidimba died in this battle by Bhima. Bhima killed Hidimba in this battle. By because of that, one can understand that why there are big size rocks and beautiful rocks are there in this Chitradurga fort area in Karnataka. The current and electricity came to India in 1900 only. Before that, there is no power in India, and there is no power in these forts in India. Because of that, they have put many things to store oil and which for the illumination of these forts. Because of that, many oil storage things were put in these forts in order to illuminate the forts. 20 man height large solid square and rectangle rocks on forts and on its walls at entrance, and 5 man height width of these walls. There are many hills inside the fort and waterfalls inside the fort, and lakes are there inside the fort. More than 20 kingdoms has contributed to this beautiful Chitradurga fort in Karnataka. There are around 30-kilometer round walls. It varies from distance to distance. Around 30-kilometer round walls are there in this fort. But in the between these walls there are hills also there. It varies not exactly 30 kilometers. It varies from 20 to 30 kilometers in the Chitradurga fort. The Kali Narsappa, one of the commander in the forces of this fort, were cheated the king in the want of power and mixed with Muslim Hyder Ali, and like that Hyder Ali got this fort in medieval time. In medieval's time, the Kali Narsappa, this person cheated the king of that area in the want of power and mixed with Hyder Ali and they together defeated the king, and Hyder Ali occupied this fort and built many mosques in this fort. There are around 120 watchtowers, 20 main doors, 50 side doors are in this fort. One can see all these things in Google Maps for fort walls in different places. Hills of 10-kilometer side square behind the fort are there in this fort. Hills of side length of 10 kilometers are there just backside of this fort. This fort was built in the foothills of these hills and at the foot of these hills. one can see wonders of this fort in wonders of this, and one can see many things of this Chitradurga fort in Google Maps. One can know many things about this fort in Google Maps, and in Google Maps one can search many forts of India and know many interesting things about these forts in India. They have built with high level intelligence and high level technology. They were which were there in the medieval time of India. Using that high level technology and high level techniques, they built these forts. Even and many Muslims and many Christians destroyed many of these forts. Still, there are remains of these forts which are visible to us and which tell the greatness of the history of India. At one time, India has around 25% of the GDP of the world, and India is very rich country in the past because of these invaders who looted the country and who destroyed this country. Like British looted 900 ships of gold from India to Britain. They looted all this wealth and all this gold from temples of India and in other places, and they carried all these temples and vigrahas and other gold in trains to different places, in trains to ports of India, seaports of India. From seaports, using big ships, they have looted this wealth to, and they have transported this looted wealth to Britain through these big and large high level ships. For further videos about forts, I will further details about the forts of India I will tell in further videos. Jai Gurudev.